All right, today I'm going to be doing an overview on the Honda Foreman Rubicon. This has got the Hondamatic motor in it. We've started working on this machine already, so we've got a few parts off, but it allows us to get in and show you a little more detail on the four-wheeler. We're going to start here on the right-hand side. We've got obviously the brake lever here, the rear foot brake lever here. We've got a footwell that sits here that has been removed, as well as a panel here that's been removed, and you've got a couple tabs there that you've got to take off when removing those, and then there's a little triangular panel here. Starter's been removed, that's here. This is your hot wire coming down. It'll attach to the starter, 2 bolts here. Just simply pull that out, it's fairly easy. We've got the pull starter here, so this is right by your right heel is your pull starter. So if you're ever in a situation where your battery's dead, make sure your key's on, make sure you're sitting in neutral, grab both hands or one really firm grip, go ahead and pull this about as hard as you can. Going here to the right front tire, we've got our brake assembly under here. We've got 11-inch wheels on this, so make sure when you're ordering tires, make sure you go ahead, get the 11-inch. This is a 24-8-11 Honda. Some Kawasaki's are about the only ones that run the 11-inch tire, so just be careful when you're ordering tires. Lug nuts take a 17mm socket to remove. To adjust your brakes, you've got a little red cap here. This one's faded, now it's almost a white, but go ahead and just pull that cap off. You're gonna spin that wheel. I'm not sure you'll be able to see in here, but there is a spot for you to put a screwdriver, and you turn the direction that it says. There's a little arrow on that cylinder, and it's got kind of a little gear in there that you're able to get a screwdriver on and pry it. Best to get the wheel off the ground to do that. Spin it. If there's some drag, obviously you're too tight. If there's no drag at all, then you might be in the right position. You want to touch your front brake lever on your right hand side. It's a hydraulic brake, and make sure that that is engaging like it's supposed to. Go to the other side, do the same thing. That's the front brakes on this machine. Now underneath here, there's going to be some panels that we've already removed. We've got a radiator here for coolant, and then in front of that radiator, we actually have an oil cooler. So not common on these on four-wheelers to have both, but it is a good system. Uses a lot more oil. I'll show you that oil change procedure here in a minute. We've got our cooling fan here, and that's controlled by a fuse that I'll show you in a little bit. We've got our headlights sitting here, and obviously these headlights are off at this point. And then we've got a rack 2 that sits on top of here that is obviously off as well. Coolant, you fill your coolant up here. Never want to remove your coolant cap when your machine is hot, just like any other vehicle in the automotive world. Here's your cap here. Don't ever remove that when it's hot. Wait for it to cool, and then add coolant if you need to. Check your book to see what coolant you use, or if you change it out, make sure you're using the same kind every time. And we've got obviously your radiator on this side too. We've got your shock. Right now we're in the front left hand, which would be the driver's side of the four-wheeler. You always tell right and left when you're sitting on the four-wheeler. I want to show you here. A lot of times this tag gets worn off, but it's in the front, right by your bumper. And this bumper's been removed, but it's got the tag and it says 2001. It's got the model, and the model is here. This is a TRX 500FA. Now to find the VIN number, a lot of people ask where the VIN number is on these, and it's extremely tricky to see, especially when you've got your bumper on here and your front grille guard like this is. But your VIN number is going to be right here. You can use a mirror. A lot of times you'll be able to get underneath here and look. Sometimes if this is pulled out far enough, you can get and look down in between this mesh here. But since the bumper's off, we'll be able to see this a little bit easier. We can just push this up and see what that VIN number is. Here's your headlight there. You got your gear shift mechanism on your left-hand side here. And this isn't hooked up because we got this clutch cover off, the Hondamatic cover, as we will go over in a separate video how to disassemble and assemble that. Again, we've got your brake drum underneath here, and your red cap here that you're going to pull to adjust your brakes. We've got your left footwell on this side here, and Because this one doesn't have a foot shift, there's no shift mechanism here for your foot. This is all done up here, the hand control. This is, again, the Hondamatic, so you've got your switch up here by your dash to switch it from automatic to manual shift. And then we've got the electric shift up here on the handlebar. We got your up and down there. We've got your lights, your starter button, your on-off switch here, as well as your lights. So, I guess at this point I'll hop up here. Well, I'm gonna go around and show you the rest of this, and then I'll hop up and show you the dash. We've got your fuel shut off on this side. There's generally a panel that sits in here, and we've got that removed, again, to get to that Hondamatic. But you got your fuel shut off. It's in the off position now. We've got your on and your reserve positions are up and down. This panel that goes over this set here will tell you which way is on and which way is reserve. You got your spark plug down in here. It's kind of a bit of a challenge to get to. What I generally do on this model, you can actually pull the seat off, and you've got a panel right here that's kind of open on top here. You see my fingers going through there. You're able to just take that ignition switch or ignition cap and pull it off of there, and then you can get your socket. And you want to run your socket down from where the seat area is down. You can't, a lot of times can't get your socket in this way. You got your exhaust, your head pipe here. To take your head pipe off, you will want to remove these bolts down here for this clamp, and then your carburetor, and I'll show you how to remove your carburetor in a separate video. Going around to the back here, we've got your canister, your exhaust muffler here on this side. You want to check and make sure no holes in there. We've got your swing arm in the back here, and to adjust your rear brakes, we've got your foot brakes and your hand brakes. Your hand brake is going to be the top cable here, and you adjust that by this butterfly nut here, and then you adjust your foot brake by this butterfly nut on the bottom. Again, it's a lot easier if you take this, pull this rear end up, so you can spin this wheel to see if you're in adjustment, and go ahead and adjust these where it need to be. You always want to make sure there's some slack in the pedal and your lever, otherwise you're going to be dragging constantly, and you want to make sure that that doesn't happen. Your rear differential here, you've got your fill mark or your fill cap here. We've got your oil check here, which is a 10 millimeter, and then your drain plug is down below here, and you come in from the side, and it's right here. I don't like the mess that makes when you drain your differential fluid here, because then it runs down and will come out your bottom of your skid plate, but then it creates kind of a trap for dirt, and kind of holds that dirt in there. So I always pull this skid plate. Good time to clean that skid plate anyways. So it's 3 12 millimeter bolts. Yeah, 3 12 millimeter bolts, one on either side, and then one in the front. Then go ahead and pull that. Then what you do is use an 80 weight or 90 weight rear end oil, and you got your fill cap here. You fill it up, and then when oil starts coming out your this 10 millimeter bolt plug here, then you know that you're full, and that's where you need to be. Put the cap back in, put the fill cap back on, and you're all set. Same way for the front end. I didn't go over that when I was there. We've got your fill cap here, and this is actually your oil level bolt as well. So when you've got fluid coming out the top cap here, then you know that you're full. The bottom is your bottom drain is right here, right here, and there's a hole in your frame, the kind of the skid plate there, and it's a 10 millimeter as well. Drain it, and that is a thick oil, so you want to make sure you give it plenty of time to drain. And then fill it up. Put your drain bolt back in, fill it up there. You want to check your CV boots often, as CV boots are $15 as opposed to an axle spending $200 for an axle when those joints go bad. So check my videos on how to replace those boots. It's fairly simple. You do need a special tool, or it does make it a lot easier. Going up, we'll do the engine oil now. These are a little bit tricky, a little bit different, but you have an oil reservoir that sits in here, and we've got that pulled off. Here's your oil lines here, and I said earlier that it holds a substantial amount of oil, anywhere from 5 to 6 quarts depending on how you let it drain. But you got a dipstick in your oil reservoir that sits here, and then also your fill cap. So what I do generally is put about 5 quarts in. I'll let it run for 4 or 5 minutes, and then I'll shut it off and let it sit. Put your dipstick in, check your oil level. If you're full, then you're good. If you need to add more at that time. But you want to make sure that you let it run for a while before you check your oil, just to fill your entire engine with oil. That oil reservoir will hold quite a bit of oil, and your engine will as well. You got a drain plug on your oil reservoir, and you got a drain plug on your motor, and that is going to be a 17 millimeter drain plug on your motor. That is it for down here. I'm going to take you up, and we're going to look at the dash assembly, and then we're going to look under this seat. So we've got your dash, your speedometer here. Turn the key on, that'll light up. You've got your everything there. Pull your seat, which is on the right hand side, and